People often ask, what did Heartwood look like before the founders, Ginny and David, bought the property? Not much. It was an overgrown former farm property, I'll bet with a lot of potential. The Chakra Garden was the first project the couple undertook. Here's the story of how the Chakra Garden came into being. In the beginning, there was nothing at all, just an empty patch of grass that the former property owner used as a secure area to train dogs. But we saw that empty space as the perfect location for a garden, and we envisioned a chakra meditation garden designed for inspiring yogis. David consulted with a work-study student who was a garden designer, and together they formulated a basic plan. The work began with digging out a pond that would be the focal point of the garden and part of the heart chakra space. We established a couple of benches around the pond to map out different meditation areas. David had to do most of the work himself, and as a mechanical and electrical engineer by trade, he had the skill set, the muscle, the vision, and the will. It took all we had just to buy Heartwood, so we didn't have a lot of resources to work with for property improvements. We had to be creative. We discovered huge rocks buried in the ferns and decided these could be used to establish the pond. David dug them up one at a time, dragging them with the help of work-study students to the garden to place them in different strategic places to hold the pond liner and create a base for a waterfall feature. Ginny was determined to put her 2 cents in as well, of course, giving her opinion about the pottery's angle and how much water should flow. David decided every pond needs a bridge, so he engineered and designed one and put it together in the barn, which would hide a filter while providing a lovely walkway through the heart of the garden. Students stood by watching or lending a helpful hand. David had to get into the water to connect the filter and electrical to run a beautiful flowing fountain. It was time to put in plants. And because, like I said, we didn't have a lot of resources to work with, we had to go with smaller, less expensive plants, just the stuff that we could afford, with hope that in time they would grow and fill in the areas that we were looking to fill in. We next established the pathways and had a ton of gravel delivered for walkways. Ginny was inspired to create art that would blend with nature, so she began a project of making chakra stepping stones to celebrate each of the chakra meditation areas. They were only a little art contribution, but helped define this garden as a chakra garden meant for yogis. She began searching out other elements of garden decor to enhance the ambiance of each chakra center. The couple endlessly pulled overgrown grapevines that had been swallowing the property, and we began turning that into archways to hold air plants. It was time for mulch, and more mulch, and more mulch. You could never get enough mulch for that garden, it seemed. David put in a sprinkler system to keep the plants thriving, and the pathways were established with gravel now. Ginny had given David a swing when they first started dating, the one thing they brought with them to Heartwood. And so he built an arbor with a roof for it, creating a special little place in the Muladhara chakra, the center for stability and the things that anchor us in life. Now, beautiful little areas for people to go and have privacy in their meditation were taking shape. The garden was new, barely established, but we knew time and nature would take its course. The plants began to flourish, and each area of the garden started to bloom and take root and find its own sort of ambiance, calling people to different areas according to what their soul needed. And each chakra center of this garden was independent and unique, and yet part of a greater whole. The Chakra Garden had become a focal point of Heartwood, a place students loved walking through or sitting in to reflect on life. We got such a kick when we spied students out there meditating or journaling or just basking in nature. Ginny kept reading gardening magazines for inspiration, and when she saw a competition in Country Gardens magazine, she sent in pictures just for fun. How wonderful if they could just share this unique garden with others who loved gardening. The Heartwood Garden actually won Best Garden with a Purpose and was featured in an 8-page spread. And now, even people who might never visit Heartwood could see and enjoy the fruits of their labors. It was wonderful knowing the garden had been formally recognized by people who had seen thousands of gardens and those were often made with far more resources than we ever had to work with. The Heartwood Garden has been appreciated by so many students. But like all things in life, non-attachment is necessary because we have to remember all things are impermanent. Building a garden is sort of a different type of yoga practice. 2 hurricanes and a variety of storms, as well as time, took its toll on the garden, destroying much of what we painstakingly built. Plants that took years to establish would suddenly die or were torn from the root by wind. Trees fell on our fences, lighting was uprooted, and arbors were toppled. With each storm, we mourned a little and then began the process of rebuilding. New versions of the garden took shape, and they would never be the same, but each version of the Chakra Garden would still be beautiful and a part of the ongoing living art that is what life is for all of us. There is an opportunity in loss to reinvent our lives. That's the yoga view of gardening and how we should all face obstacles as they come forward in our day-to-day life. Thanks to nature's unrelenting optimism, the garden did come back from every storm. Some things were lost and sorely missed, but new fresh elements were given a chance to take root. We learned that all the flowers of all the tomorrows are in the seeds of today. And the truth is, the garden was never designed for Ginny and David to enjoy for themselves, but for all the yogis that would find their way through the gates. The Chakra Garden doesn't enhance enrollment or have any benefit to Heartwood other than holding space for visitors. It was always meant to be a space for future generations of yogis to unplug from their busy world and form an authentic connection to nature. The Chakra Garden at Heartwood is a living example that even when starting from scratch, and even when you have limited resources, you can still manifest your dreams. You just need to get your hands dirty and do the work. We hope everyone gets a chance to visit the Chakra Garden at Heartwood and will spend some time soaking in the ever-unfolding history of how it came to be. We are proud to share this labor of love and humble garden because it was made for yogis, by yogis, and it urges all of us to pause once in a while and just soak in the beauty of nature.